Imagine a world not packed with 8 billion souls, but one where humanity expanded at a crawl. A world where the global population is barely scratching 100 million in the year 2025. This isn't a dystopia. It's not a world devastated by war or disease. It's simply a parallel timeline. One where nature pressed the slow motion button on humanity's growth. What would life look like? How would we have evolved, explored, and expanded? Let's step into that alternate Earth and trace human development from the dawn of civilization to the modern day. Under the constraint of glacial population growth, then, in our world, Homo sapiens emerged around 300,000 years ago, and in this slower populating Earth, the story begins the same. Early humans roamed the African savannas, learning to use tools, discovering fire, forming loose tribes. But while in our timeline, groups began expanding into new territories within a few thousand years. In this world, progress is stunted, not by intelligence or capability, but by sheer scarcity of numbers. A typical tribe has fewer than a dozen members. Birth rates are low, infant mortality high, and food sources too limited to sustain large families. Every child born is a miracle. Every death, a catastrophe. A single drought might erase an entire bloodline. Migration happens, but slowly. Millennia pass before humans even reach the Levant. The peopling of Europe is delayed by tens of thousands of years. With fewer people, language evolves more slowly. Oral traditions are fragile, easily lost if a single storyteller dies. Knowledge must be relearned, rediscovered, and repassed down through redundant efforts across scattered communities. There are no bustling villages, no sprawling hunter-gatherer networks, just isolated tribes, each one an island of survival. By 10,000 BCE, when agriculture transformed the Fertile Crescent in our world, this timeline is still mostly nomadic. The idea of settling down exists, but only in rare river valleys where the environment is unusually stable. The first cultivated plants appear, but with so few hands to sow and reap, farming remains an experimental supplement to foraging. Cities? They don't exist yet. Religion is still animistic, tied to the spirits of animals, rivers, and mountains. Domestication of animals takes longer. Dogs, yes, but cattle, horses, sheep? Those come centuries later. The idea of building large communities isn't viable when there simply aren't enough people to fill them. By 3000 BCE, our world saw the rise of Sumer, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. In this timeline, there may be a handful of proto-villages. No pyramids, no ziggurats, no Bronze Age warfare. There are no standing armies. Conflicts do occur, but they're skirmishes between family groups, not organized campaigns. Every life is too valuable to waste. Without cities, there's no bureaucracy, no empires, no centralized governments or taxation. Knowledge is local, practical. Math exists, but only to count tools, track seasons, and mark the passage of time. Writing is centuries from being invented. And when it is, it's not cuneiform on clay, but etched onto stone or painted on hides. Records for generations that may never read them. Trade happens, but slowly. A caravan of 5 people is a big deal. Crossing a mountain pass is an epic journey. Goods like obsidian, salt, or shells become extremely valuable. Not because they're rare in nature, but because so few people ever carry them across regions. Fast forward to 500 BCE. In our world, this was the era of Greek philosophers, the Persian Empire, Confucius, and the early Roman Republic. In the slow-growth world, humanity is still largely tribal. A few regional leaders may emerge, respected elders, charismatic shamans, but they rule over dozens, not thousands. Philosophy, science, and political theory exist in whispers, not books. A brilliant mind might develop a revolutionary idea, but without writing, publishing, or mass education, it dies with them, or is passed along as fragmented oral wisdom. By the time we reach 1 CE, Earth's human population is perhaps only 1 or 2 million. In our world, it was estimated to be around 300 million. That difference is staggering. In our world, the Roman Empire built roads, aqueducts, and legacies. In the slow-growth Earth, the most advanced community might be a small town of 500 people. An anomaly, a beacon of collaboration and stability. Technological innovation still happens. Humans are inventive. But without economies of scale, without dense cities or abundant labor, most inventions remain crude. The wheel exists. Simple metallurgy too. But there are no ships crossing oceans, no colosseums, no books, no libraries, no wars of conquest. The world is simply too empty. By 1000 CE, the pace picks up ever so slightly. Population reaches 5 million. A few regions, Nile Delta, Indus Valley, parts of China, form micro-civilizations. Writing is slowly spreading. Simple religious systems take root. Animism gives way to structured belief systems. Maybe one or two world religions emerge, but they remain regional. There's no mass conversion, no crusades. No one religion dominates. Europe is a patchwork of sparse villages. Asia sees the birth of rudimentary dynasties. The Americas are even more underpopulated. Civilizations like the Maya or Inca never rise. There are simply too few people to build empires. Instead, the continent remains largely tribal, with knowledge and tradition passed carefully from elder to child. The scientific revolution, delayed by centuries. The printing press is never invented. Or if it is, its impact is muted. There aren't enough literate people to justify printing. Schools are rare. Universities don't exist. The idea of formal education is limited to a handful of exceptional communities. Industrialization is a fantasy. There are no crowded cities needing solutions. No demand for mass production. No coal-burning factories or assembly lines. Instead, craftsmanship rules. Tools are handmade, passed down, repaired endlessly. Innovation is incremental, not exponential. By 1800 CE, our world had crossed 1 billion people. The slow-growth Earth is nearing 10 million. At best, there are regional alliances, maybe early forms of governance, city-states or loose federations, but no nation-states, no borders, no passports, just vast open lands, scattered with small human settlements. Global exploration never takes off. No age of discovery, no circumnavigation, no colonization. The oceans remain largely mysterious. The Americas are still mostly untouched by outsiders. Australia is unvisited. Africa's interior is unknown even to its sparse coastal tribes. And then, something shifts. Around the late 1800s, population growth slightly accelerates. Not by nature's will, but by humanity's hand. Communities learn to manage disease better. Simple sanitation, herbal medicine. Childbirth becomes safer. With these small improvements, families begin to grow. For the first time in history, people live long enough to see their grandchildren's children. It's a fragile, quiet boom. By 1900, the global population hits maybe 20 million. Electricity is theorized, but not deployed at scale. Steam engines are rare. Most transport is still animal-powered. Communication is by messenger or smoke signals. The idea of radio is just emerging in one remote part of Asia or Europe. But without global infrastructure, it's a novelty. World wars? They don't happen. There simply aren't enough people to fight. Conflict remains personal, family feuds, territory disputes, not ideological or geopolitical wars. Weapons remain primitive. Gunpowder exists but hasn't revolutionized warfare. The 20th century in this world is not one of speed, but of slow, intentional refinement. Medicine evolves. Penicillin saves countless lives, but it's rare. Vaccines are developed but not mass-produced. Airplanes exist but are experimental, built by eccentric geniuses in hidden valleys. The moon landing? Still in the distant future. By the year 2000, Earth hosts maybe 50 million people. That's roughly the population of modern-day South Korea, spread across the entire globe. Cities are emerging. Maybe one or two mega-settlements exist, places like Cairo, Beijing, or Paris in our timeline. But they're anomalies. Most people live in small, self-sustaining communities. Technology is uneven. Some areas have primitive computers. Others still rely on oral tradition. The internet might exist in theory. In practice, it's a disconnected web of local networks. And now, we arrive at 2025. Earth's population has reached 80 to 100 million. Civilization is beginning to consolidate. Global awareness is dawning. A loose planetary council may form, an effort to unite the scattered knowledge, preserve history, and chart a future. Space travel is still science fiction. Climate change is a whisper of concern, not a crisis. And because population density has remained low, nature thrives. Forests are abundant. Oceans teem with life. Pollution is minimal. But here's the twist. With fewer people, each person matters more. Education is tailored. Innovation, though slower, is deeply personal. Communities are tight-knit. There is less war, less greed, less inequality, because survival demanded cooperation. The world isn't less advanced. It's differently advanced, and in many ways more humane. So, What if human population had grown 100 times slower? Maybe we'd lose the skyscrapers, the moon landings, the smartphones. But maybe, just maybe, we'd gain something else. A world more in balance. A world where progress walks, not runs. Where nature still has room to breathe. And where every life, every story, every voice truly matters. This is Epic Explorations, where we don't just ask what happened, we ask what could have been.